This is only the 4th event. It's been cut down by pretty much 2/3. But even in the curtailed action, we have seen some stunning stuff. The 3 events so far this year have been won by national number 1s from 3 different countries. We're going to have another nationality represented tonight when somebody lifts the International Darts Open title. Gerwen Price, the Welshman, Devon Peterson, the South African, and José de Sousa, the Portuguese, already winners on the European Tour. One man who is not among that list is the world number 1 Michael van Gerwen, who has won at least 1 Euro Tour, and usually many, every single year for the last 7 years. But if he doesn't emerge victorious by winning 4 games today, then his Euro Tour drought will continue into next year.
First leg, Andy to throw first. Game on.
The greatest tour in professional sport reaches its conclusion today, and it starts with mighty Michael van Gerwen, the world number 1, against a 3-time major finalist, Andy the Hammer Hamilton. I'm Dan Dawson, alongside me this weekend, Paul Nicholson. But first, Chris Murphy for the opening game of the day.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. A very interesting afternoon in particular ahead before we get to find out who takes the crown on the Euro Tour's final outing of 2020.
93.
Could well be Michael van Gerwen, but as you mentioned, he may have to raise his game to stop that drought of winning on stage, moving into an 8th month. He mentioned he was a little distracted yesterday. He looks a little bit distracted by a fly on Hammer's shoulder
64.
there.
Well, MVG just played the 1 game so far this weekend as a seeded player, the top seed. Hammer has played a couple, but between the pair of them, neither of them have produced a match average in the 90s. There is a lot of improvement to be done.
Yeah, not because they've produced them in the hundreds either.
No.
Andy Hamilton is
86.
likely to secure a return to the European Championship after 6 years. Could solidify that with a win in this match.
Yeah, looking pretty safe. There are
85.
There is a possibility, isn't there, if 4 players move above him in the rankings, that he could be edged out.
And there are exactly 4 players left that are outside of that 32 player provisional places for next weekend's tournament. Still in this tournament, Franz Roach, Ross Smith, Scott Baker, and Jesus Nogueira.
Yeah, pretty simple for those guys. Win their games this afternoon. They not only reach the final session, which is the quarters, the semis and the final, but that will get them into the European Championship.
60.
Who's in last spot at the moment? Is it Ron the Bomb?
Willie O'Connor.
Willie O'Connor.
Ron the Bomb just outside, but obviously the people just outside will be hoping not to be gazumped because of the possibilities of people having to withdraw.
$89. Michael, you require 170.
Well, this would be a statement. Statement. Very nearly made.
145. And you require 138.
Chance for break a throw here for Michael van Gerwen.
80.
Yeah, Andy Hamilton in his
Michael,
post-match comments
25.
last night, after seeing off Stephen Bunting, said that he felt MVG is vulnerable. That dart was vulnerable to going in the double 9, but he does find the double 8
Michael van Gerwen
and takes the first leg
Michael to
against the darts.
Game on.
Yeah, Andy Hamilton does have a slight insurance policy in his back pocket because he is higher ranked than Jesus Nogueira, who with a win would move on to the same money he's on now, and that's how they do the split for the ties, the European Championship.
Yeah, no countback. Countback is what they often use for these sorts of things, but with only 4 events, normally countback takes in the most recent 4 events. But you've only had 4 events in the Euro Tour this year, so they've decided that it's rather a odd way of doing it, and overall
59.
order of merit is going to be the deciding factor. So good news for the bigger names, really.
However, Jeffrey Desvan, Kim Huybrechts and Willie O'Connor all liable to be jumped this afternoon.
93.
And despite Michael van Gerwen's struggles over recent months, he knows if he does go and win his 4 games today, he will be top
60.
seed for the European Championship. We've talked about this crisis, his struggles, his poor form, but ultimately he's so good he could still be top seed in the European Championship, and the seeding is determined solely by your performances on the European Tour. It's been that way for a few years now. I like it.
96.
I think it's a fair representation to have the European Championship solely determined by this European Tour. Makes it a nice circuit in itself.
137.
And Hamilton is well placed to break back here if Van Gerwen can't complete the 145 checkout. One he knows well.
He does.
$100. Michael, you require 145.
Well, Van Gerwen, the opening couple of legs.
105.
He's been looking at checkouts 170
And you require
145 just to
72.
complete 15 darters. Scoring just hasn't happened. It didn't happen for him yesterday. Matters Razma could have beaten him, perhaps should have.
Double top then for the hammer.
$52. Michael, you require 40.
Even with Van Gerwen appearing vulnerable, those are the chances that you have to take.
20.
Do you?
And you require
These
20.
are the chances you have to take.
Right, yeah, right, I see what you mean. Not those ones where you said they were the champ. Not them. These ones.
I live in the present.
That is a
Inch
present.
on the second leg. Andy Hamilton.
Levels back immediately. By
Third
breaking
leg,
the
Andy
MVG
to
throne.
throw first.
We
Game
made
on.
reference to that 145 checkout. Of course, it was the one that started the MVG rise in PDC darts to win his first major title back in 2012, the World Grand Prix. Of course, Andy Hamilton came quite close to beating him in that tournament. Went a full 5 sets in the
57.
quarterfinals.
Yeah, he's got a pretty decent record against MVG over the years. And it's not all as you might expect, where Hammer just won all their games back in the day and he's lost all their
100.
games since MVG became this winning machine. Beaten him 19 times. Admittedly, he hasn't beaten him for 5 years, but Hammer, of course, dropped off the tour, so recent meetings are few and far between.
We've lost to him twice this year, but if you look at the averages in those meetings, it tells a tale that we've been telling
140.
over the course of the last couple of weeks, because he was beaten 6-0 back in February by Van Gerwen, who averaged over 100, and Hamilton was down in the 70s.
99.
But at the Autumn Series last month, it was 6-4, with Van Gerwen averaging 94.
And that's beatable. And of course, we know with these guys, 100-plus averages can be beaten. You see it quite regularly. But what you don't
100.
see, or you didn't see for many, many years, was Michael van Gerwen throwing stuff in the 90s or the 80s and looking vulnerable and losing as many times as he is
140.
now. He's at 1040 there to leave 162. It's just strange decisions that he's making, as well as poor execution.
He mentioned a lack of focus and concentration. And it may appear to be the case
64.
again today. Hasn't put it right yet. Determined to try and hit a 180, having not hit one yet in the tournament.
130.
Can't fault that as a set-up shot.
And you require 140. $45. Michael, you require 32.
Lazy darts from Andy Hamilton there.
Game on the third leg.
That's
Michael van
13-dart
Gerwen.
leg.
Fourth leg, Michael to throw first.
Much better
Game on.
end product from MVG, even though he did leave himself open. Hammer had better approach play there than he could
29.
have. What is going on? can see that sigh of frustration from MVG. Just everything's so hard for him.
97.
Without
59.
any disrespect to Andy Hamilton, who's trying to kind of resurrect his career and work his way back up darts world rankings, this might be a decent game for MVG, and one where he can afford to play like he has been and perhaps get over the line, but I can't see that happening tonight.
100.
Of course, the simplicity of the way we do things here on the final day on the European Tour means it's very easy to follow. MVG, if he does win this, will take on the winner of our next match in the quarterfinals this evening, James Wade or Nathan Aspinall. Different prospect altogether, whoever wins.
Yeah, you're in the same half of the draw as the likes of Krzysztof Ratajski, Mensur Suljevic, who's rejuvenated seemingly. Tell you more about
77.
Mensur's little psychological journey that he's been on over the last fortnight or so.
Yeah, put that on ice for now.
43.
Shaking his head. We are only in the fourth leg of this, and the final day of the Euro Tour. We're so used to seeing Michael van Gerwen turn up in these final days and just walk in the building going, I'm going to win today. And most of the time, he's right.
He probably still says it, Dan, but does he really believe it?
It doesn't look like it, the way he's on stage. It's just, even the big celebrations, which we're not seeing a great deal of, it's almost like he's trying to convince himself.
Taking his time to
43
focus before that shot.
And you require
Searching
134.
for trebles.
Missing big numbers, and you know, Michael van Gerwen should have been leaving 170 there, the bare minimum.
Golden opportunity
94.
for Andy Hamilton to get the match's fourth break of throw.
135. And you require 40. Game shot in the fourth leg, Andy Hamilton. Fifth leg, Andy to throw first.
Break
Game on.
the world number one.
Just ponders what's happening. But it is being played at a similar pace to that match yesterday against Madas Razmar, and Van Gerwen seemed concerned.
58.
You can see him
about
getting
that.
frustrated in that game. And Hammer's doing exactly the same thing, as he is completely entitled to. Hammer's always been a slow and methodical player, as is Madas. But Michael van Gerwen said in his
99.
post-match interview on stage yesterday, I can't play as bad as that again. Well, he is. He was wrong.
If he is to
59.
be defeated in this match, well, what kind of attitude does he take into the European Championship?
96.
It might just suddenly click, and certainly when you get to the evening session, we said this last weekend, when Van Gerwen could count himself very fortunate to be through to the evening session in Sindelfingen, and we said, look, of all the players in this field, who is the most likely to turn up and go and average
88.
110 over the next 3 games and batter their way to the title? Michael van Gerwen. But the more you watch him, the less likely
42.
you think that's going to happen.
Yeah, the more this is becoming par for the course with MVG.
And it's just strange and it's disconcerting, and I don't think it's good for anybody. But
Well, it might be good for Andy Hamilton.
it might be very good for Andy Hamilton.
85. $95.
Every leg just seems like a struggle.
Again, a big 20 to leave 169. I know he had a decent lie there and he thought he could get a treble, but at least go. You've already missed the ball for a 170. Just go to the 19s. Make sure you leave a check out.
49.
He's never done that before. Not with the regularity. You've seen him doing it every tournament.
He's got a little bit lucky that Hamilton's ended up on a bogey himself
99.
by virtue of misfire rather than miscount. I think the silence kind of adds to the tension, doesn't it? Watching Michael van Gerwen playing this
22.
way
Michael, you
must
require
make him
70.
feel more tense, more desperate.
Game
There
shot
we
on the
go.
fifth
Come
leg.
on,
Michael
Sir
van
Michael
Gerwen.
Van Gerwen as that
Sixth leg
18
Michael
darter
to throw first. Game on.
continues this run of breaks of throw. And the reason that we've had 5 breaks of throw is because these guys are throwing nowhere near
96.
world-class level darts, and it just means there's opportunity. Andy Hamilton, if he was playing anything like the Andy Hamilton of old, would be 5-0 up here. Michael van Gerwen playing anything like his normal standard would be 5-0 up here. As it is,
81.
I mean, they're just swinging at each other, but there's no power behind anything. Like just attacking
80.
each other with sponges.
Well, neither of them are even playing as well as they've played this weekend,
Yeah.
and that's not been very well. I wonder what James Wade and Nathan Aspinall are thinking with one eye on the screen in the practice room.
77.
That's the match that follows this. Then it's Christoph Ratajski against the German qualifier Franz Roach, who has been very impressive this weekend.
99.
Mensa Suljovic against Jamie Hughes in a repeat of the meeting last weekend. The 4th match of the afternoon.
$46.
Frustration from the hammer, a man who didn't throw a dart for 3 weeks because of the hand injury that he sustained at the autumn series. So he is coming into
81.
this pretty cold, but you'd kind of be hoping after 2 days of competitive action and plenty of hours on the practice board that maybe he'd just be playing himself into some form, but he's still sort of pootling around at that level that he's been so far this weekend.
Yeah, still is a rusty hammer, despite
100.
what Paul Nicholson might
Michael,
say.
you require 145.
It's a 145 opportunity again. This time he does have a bit of time on his side
93.
and a chance to finally hold on to his throw. Not enjoying himself, is he?
Well, I mean, you think it's weird watching Michael van Gerwen
93.
back-to-back 80-odd averages
Michael, you require 52.
after a number of other subpar displays. Imagine what it's like being Michael van Gerwen in this happening.
36.
What is
And do you
happening?
require
Hamilton
104.
has a chance here to steal the leg. Has the hammer got the steal? Great dart that.
72.
He couldn't complete the
Michael, you
combination.
require
Van
16.
Gerwen breathes a sigh of relief.
Game shot on the 6th leg. Michael van
Wow,
Gerwen.
he says.
7th
It is a
leg,
sense of
Andy
relief
to throw
for
first.
Michael van
Game
Gerwen.
on.
If he does kick on and win this match, he'll still be wondering what he needs to do to put things right, and that's a question that he's been pondering for some time now.
Yeah, and he hasn't got the answer. He hasn't got the answer
93.
right now. there is no part of his game that is functioning normally. The scoring isn't there. Look at that. 86 first 9 average. The finishing isn't very good. The
50.
counting isn't good. These are all the things where Michael van Gerwen has been the best in the world in all of those categories for years.
100. $140.
Finally, a ripple of applause.
134.
Hamilton tries to close in on closing the gap, I suppose. He hasn't held his throw yet.
$92. $96. And you require 126.
Well, he had a good go at the 104. This one's slightly trickier. We're on the same bed. Well, now it's gone. I was looking at the 19s and slipped into the 7s. 16 to leave the double for here.
Yeah, had a good think about that.
94.
Made sure of it.
Michael, you require
in the past he
112.
wouldn't expect to get another chance, but he probably half expects to now. But will he?
80. And you require 32.
Gerwen missed a double 16 to move within 1. Hamilton has 3 darts at it to move within 1 of his opponent.
Game shot the 7th leg. Andy Hamilton.
Shake
Then
him
Michael
off.
to focus.
Well, he holds his throw for the first time, the hammer.
138.
I've seen plenty of instances where a battle of a game can just burst into life. But despite the fact this being a 3-time world champion, a 3-time major finalist going at it,
140.
with the way this match has gone, it'd be one of the most surprising instances of a game bursting into life.
Having said that, it almost did. When Hamilton met Stephen
133.
Bunting yesterday, the last leg in
Yes.
particular,
Yeah.
caught fire and then quickly the flame was extinguished.
Yeah, similar stuff between the hammer and the bullet, and then looked like Andy Hamilton might produce an 11-darter to win it, and then they just faffed.
97.
Survived 3 match darts from Stephen Bunting there.
134.
He's left himself on a 2-dart finish after 9 darts. Where's this been?
$44. Michael, you require 96.
He's going double. No, he's not. He's going double 8 now.
Game
And there
shot
we
the
go.
8th leg.
12-dart leg
Van
from
Gerwen.
Michael van Gerwen. Much
9th
more
leg,
like
Andy
it from the
to
world
first.
number 1.
Game on.
Who's led a charmed life this weekend. Benefited from Madars Razma missing repeatedly in his opening game yesterday. And he's benefited from Andy Hamilton, who's not getting going at all in this one today.
140.
Just on Hamilton, but we obviously spend rightly a lot of time analysing the state of play for Michael van Gerwen, but an observation from
100.
this weekend is that it's actually not the finishing with Andy Hamilton a lot of the time, it's when he gets towards an important part of the leg, he throws in a sloppy visit when he's sort of in the low 200s or high 100s.
Yeah, lots of 40-odd scores. When just one
47.
treble would get him to a nice, makeable finish. And sometimes he'll back it up with another 40-odd score. He's just making a miss. It's taking him 3 visits to get down from 150.
95.
It's almost that old kind of thing as, well, I've got a chance here in this leg, and then trying too hard to make it count can cause problems rather than just carrying on what you've been doing.
$90. 139.
This is a bit more like it from Michael van Gerwen. He could win it with a 167. Let's see if Andy Hamilton can produce a decent setup shot here. It's already better than most he's had in this game. Could be the best one we've seen in this game.
140. Michael, you require 167.
Hanging in there, Hamilton. But for how long?
99. And you require 84.
Would love to see this first dart landing the treble. Otherwise it might only be a dart at the bull for him, and now he might not even get a dart at any kind of double. Well, a good rescue act from the hammer, who looks at double top.
64.
Can't find it.
Michael, you require 68.
And there should be a match start incoming here. Tops it is.
48.
Michael van Gerwen just pulling
And
it low.
you require 20.
Can't get this done right now. Can he get it done at all?
Having to move across. Can he utilise the dart on the wire?
No score.
There you
Michael,
see
you
how close
require
he was
20.
to staying in this match. Is that as close as he gets?
15.
Groans in a Saxon
And you
arena
require
because
20.
the world #1 is finding this game, which he's made look so easy for years, is finding it hard, and it seems to be getting harder.
Game
and
shot
harder
the ninth
and
leg.
harder.
Andy
Every
Hamilton.
time
Set by
you see
Michael
him
the
play,
first.
something is wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure Michael van Gerwen knows what
60.
it is. If he knows how to put it right, the question is, why isn't he? It suggests that he's as bamboozled as anybody else.
And make no mistake, that's what he's here trying to do. If he had just kind of shrugged it off
43.
and thought, well, it'll come good again, probably wouldn't be playing in this tournament.
Yeah, he's not turned up at the International Darts Open for the last couple of
100.
years. Yeah, Racer, oh, it's a hard one to get to. No, I'll skip that. By the way, I've already won 5 Euro Tours this year. I don't need to.
Yeah, and he knows he's in the European Championship, so no need to come and make sure of that. He's here to try and improve his game and get himself back to his best. But as you
93.
observed, it is seemingly getting harder and harder and harder.
$95.
4 match darts missed by the world #1.
This is a man who was top of the Premier League phase in every year in which he's competed. This year it finished 6th. This is a man who went for months
99.
not averaging below 100 on the Euro Tour when playing his best. Last weekend, his averages were mainly in the low 90s.
133.
Here, they're in the high 80s.
Yeah, and this will be a 12th successive match in which he hasn't averaged in 3 figures.
That's unheard of over the last 8 years.
And having said all that, he might be about to win it. He might end up winning the tournament.
You might do.
80.
You might do.
Michael, you require 113.
Well, luckily he had
53.
time on his side. Once again, Hamilton failing to get down to a finish. But if he can put some pressure on, he has seen that Michael van Gerwen is certainly feeling the pinch at the moment.
It's another one of these setup shots.
86.
Hammer, well, he rescues it with a
Michael,
last
you
dart. And it
require
does
60.
leave him on a 2-darter. 2 darts for the match. 2 more darts for the match. And
40.
2 more darts missed by Michael
And you
van
require
Gerwen, who is
100.
looking less and less mighty by the minute. If he takes this out, Hammer might be favourite to win this game. He'd have the throw in the last leg. Got to be tops, hasn't it? Oh my, where's that come from? And there's the roar. It's taken 10 legs for any form of celebration from either men as they just
11th
continue
deciding leg, Andy,
to just land
first.
powder puff
Game on.
punches on each other, but that was a haymaker.
A hammer blow from Andy Hamilton to force a last leg shootout, just as he did against Stephen Bunting yesterday.
And that's when he turned it on, the Hammer. The last leg was very, very
98.
good, at least in the scoring phase of it.
Is he going to feel the wrath?
139.
He has not beaten Michael van Gerwen for 5 years. Yes, he dropped off the tour for a couple of years, Hammer. So they haven't played a lot. But this is their 3rd meeting this year, and he's lost the previous 2. Annihilated in their first back in February, when it didn't look like there was much of a problem. Lost 6-4 to MVG more
140.
recently when he had been struggling. And here he's forced a last leg decider
95.
against a man that he highlighted as being vulnerable, as being fragile, and that has borne out because Andy Hamilton is potentially 2 visits away from beating MVG for the first time in half a decade.
Yeah, the first time he would have beat him on stage since 2012.
53.
Still finely poised because not really expecting Michael van Gerwen to chuck in a couple of treble visit from here.
97.
Does manage to leave a finish.
Nearly started this game with a 170 check out. Missed the ball for it.
$58. Michael, you require
Just in that
170.
Range again. Andy Hamilton stumbles.
96. And you require 152.
He produced 100 checkout to force this last leg decider. This would be a showstopper. It's too much for the Hammer.
62. Michael, you require
kind of lucky
74.
there.
MVG is just going to get 1 dart in this visit.
54.
And he's missed another
And you
match
require
dart. That
90.
is 7.
Andy Hamilton should get a match dart here. He may get 2. Needs to stay straight in that 20 segment. And it's a big safe one to leave the ball. And the Hammer
65.
misses a chance to beat the world #1.
Michael, you require 20.
Well, that's how close he was. Michael van Gerwen once again has stuttered and spluttered, but somehow
Michael van
has
Gerwen
managed to fall over the line again. Andy Hamilton missing the chance on the bullseye in the last leg, but after 7 missed match darts, Van Gerwen finally gets the job done. A shake of the head, you can see how he feels about his performance.